Aloha, beautiful golden galactic cosmic celestial family on the planet. We Bliss here to do a little love stream, a little touch in. It's been a while. We've been doing some videos recently on the breath, inspiring and encouraging our family to really tune into a lymphatic breath practice that we have been putting in the links of all of the transmissions. And we are here to share about bringing cold water and the breath and the genetics together to describe, to share a vaster picture so that our human family can have more precise articulation to understand the transformation that we are in collectively together. So we're going to start with the genetics. We often bring in this wonderful book called The Gene Keys by our dear sacred human brother named Richard Rudd. If you haven't heard about the Gene Keys, we put the link in the description box. You can click the links to learn more about the Gene Keys. You can click the links to get your free profile downloaded from the Gene Keys to understand that as a human family, we have all been in a collective play. And each one of us has had a role in that play, and our script in the role in the play has been held in our genetic sequencing. Each one of us has had our own personal genetic sequencing in the play. And so that's what our blueprint is. And so when one understands their genetic sequencing in the play at the level of 2-strand DNA, we did this with 4 fingers, but 2-strand DNA, it's a metatronic system of 64 codons. It is a base 10 system. And we have been sharing with the pod that travels with we through all of the transmissions and in some of the love streams that we have been sharing. We have been speaking recently about base 10 systems. We've also been talking about them in some of the posts. So our consciousness is moving out of a digital system called a matrix, and we're moving into an organic consciousness beyond ones and zeros, bits and bytes, beyond base 10. Okay, so first of all, understanding that the genetic play that we are transcending from is a genetic play of interwoven blueprints. So everyone in the play had a blueprint that was interwoven with everybody else's blueprint, and that's what made up the tapestry of the stage. That's what made up the matrix, was the interwoven networks of blueprint patterns. And those blueprint patterns were were in a pattern called tribal blood bonds. So we have been transcending the enmeshment of all of our blueprints that made up the fabric of the matrix. And the cool thing about this is that as each one starts to wake up and withdraw their consent from the old play of duality through neutrality, through withdrawing our engagement in the dynamics of duality, us versus them, something outside of the self. As we draw our energy back, we actually collapse the enmeshment, and that collapses the matrix in totality. And so because so many humans have caught on, so many humans have withdrawn their consent from duality dynamics. And in doing so, the enmeshment, the fabric of that stage dissolves away. So if one has been consciously participating by withdrawing their consent from, they are consciously aware of the changes that are going on. And if one has not been consciously withdrawing their agreements, their consent from that enmeshment, The fabric is still falling apart, because just like a tidal wave, the more that remove their consent, the more the stage falls apart anyways. And so because it's a collective, collaborative creation. And so everybody is waking up and contributing in some way to bring forth their level of awakening, which is called gifting. And as humans bring forth their gifting, which is what 2 years of quarantine allowed people to do, is really jump into the things they were passionate about and share those passions with the world. And that's called gifting, when people start to gift what they know within their specialty. And so that gifting rapidly increases the momentum of the dismantling of the old stage. And so while that old stage dismantles, humans move forth into, and this transmission is to help us understand a little bit more about that enmeshment that is dissolved away, so that we can align with pure consciousness, which is coming into us beyond the duality play. So the enmeshment, we've been sharing with the pod that the enmeshment dynamics at an evolutionary level have been such that they were programmed into our physical bodies before our physical bodies even took birth on the planet. And those evolutionary scripts inside of us, inside of that play, actually projected themselves out in linear time streams, in evolutionary linear paths. And so those linear paths were literally projected out before we ever stepped onto the stage. So to withdraw our consent from continuing to go in a linear way down those streams of consciousness that at an evolutionary level will ultimately reach the end of the play in linear time, that could take thousands of years, it could take tens of thousands, it could take who knows how much time. But we don't have to go that way. Einstein said, the problem cannot be resolved inside of the same thinking that created it. So the shortcut is the 35th gene, which is to collapse the polarities back into the singularity, literally releasing our contract from the stage. So it requires some commitment, some determination, some will to make different choices inside of the linear projected paths that were before us. It takes some will, it takes some focus, it takes some coherence to withdraw our consent from those timelines we would have played out on the stage, to go, no, I'm throwing all my chips in from that linear projection, those linear projections I would have played out. I'm cashing my chips in on those storylines because I'm done with playing a role in the old plays. There is an energy within us that is inviting us to step into something so cosmic beyond what the mind can see. And that's what these transmissions are about. The transmissions are to provide us with precise articulation to support that gnosis we already have within us to make the cosmic leaps and to make the change, and to know that the messages that we are hearing inside of ourselves, that there's something so much greater burgeoning called nature, which is aligning us with a true cosmic leap. So if this love stream is inspiring, please share it right now. You can share with that little share button. It's called gifting. Okay, so that is the first thing. If someone feels like it's taking a lot of energy, there's a lot of inertia to shift direction, that's because of the enmeshment of the blueprints that have all been a part of the fabric of a predetermined stage And the cool part is that when the collective finally decided, when a large enough aspect of the collective decided to withdraw their consent, that dismantles the entire fabric of that stage. So that's what's happening, because the mass collective, enough of the collective removed their consent. So we want to share how to keep going in the most simplistic ways, and how to ride this wave, how to enjoy the transformation, how to not look back, because there's nothing to look back to on a dissolved, annihilated stage. So just keep going. So we shared recently about breath play, and we have posted a link in the description box from a lymphatic breath, a 20 miracle minute lymphatic breath practice that we have been inviting people to do. And it's on a YouTube channel called Take a Breath. And so the link is in the description box. And what we've been inviting and inspiring people to do is do this lymphatic breath 3 miracle times a day, 20 miracle minutes a day. There's a reason we use the word miracle, because miracle is connected to the 35th gene, which is the shortcut. So we speak with a precise articulation that speaks to the consciousness in the space between the words to assist in guiding the consciousness on the way. So what we've shared about the breath play, and now many people are writing to We Bliss and saying, oh my gosh, thank you so much for getting me into this breath work, this breath play. It's changed my life. Time has collapsed. I have no sense of time anymore. Yay, because the 60th gene is all about the dissolution of time and gravity in our perception. And that takes us non-linear. It brings us to the miracle coordinate of the now moment. That's the eternal consciousness. The pure source eternal consciousness is transcendent of linear time projection. So many beautiful people, including the pod, are writing to me saying, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you encouraged me to do this breath play. It's so powerful. It's changed everything, because the lymphatic breath supports the relaxation of the nervous system. And the relaxation of the nervous system is essential for the higher spiritual essence to take over the control panel of the body, because it's more energy that comes into the body. So if the nervous system is taxed, if someone is in fight or flight, more cosmic energy cannot come into the body without that increasing the stress level in the body. So we have the opportunity to participate in relaxing the physical body. And as we do, more of the higher frequency energy unlocks in the DNA. The DNA is a spiral that it's a container that allows for more and more light to infuse the system. So the 20 Miracle Minute Breath Play, we highly invite our global pod to get into every miracle day. So we'll just share a little story. When we first invited the pod to do the lymphatic breath back in early 2022, we would bring this lymphatic breath in often and put the links in our group chats and so on. And the pod was very resistant to go into this breath play. So what we will share with anyone who is resistant to do 20 miracle minutes of breath play 3 miracle times a day, a lot of the resistance comes because the personality is imprinted in the breath patterns. And so once we start going into a dynamic of breath play that has us control the breathing pattern, that starts to go into the personality itself. So it is also going to bring up a lot of density that is held in the body, stagnation that is held in the body. So when we do the breath play, it is going to bring up any stagnation in the body as well. Stagnation in the body can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be physical, it can be thought patterns, it can be memories, it can be experiences. So when people do the breath play in a relaxed lymphatic breath kind of way, a lot of things can come to the surface for clearing. Allow them. Keep flowing. Keep up with the breath play, because it will transform your life into a much more relaxed way. A lot of humans in the fictional fiction, most humans in the Western world, were operating on fight or flight and high levels of adrenaline sourcing the body's energy. Even workout patterns and what's considered standard for working out and fitness and so on, a lot of those processes are all about amping adrenaline, and ultimately the body runs out. It runs out of energy, it runs out of adrenaline. It's like taxing the body. That catches up with time. So the lymphatic breath is not about increasing adrenaline. It is about relaxing the body, and when we relax the body becomes more aligned with nature, more aligned with the cosmos, and true cosmic energy, true chi begins to flow through the body naturally. So the body naturally has more energy. Okay, so again, if you haven't tried it, I invite you to try it. It's in the description box down below. And one may discover, if they are looking into techniques to bring more health to the body, they may discover there's a great combination between breath and cold water. And so, of course, WIMHOF is one of the people who brought cold water and breath techniques to the Western world's awareness, and we've put links to WIMHOF's YouTube channel in the description box as well. We have also put 2 links, Instagram posts, in the description box about cold water, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about. So if one hasn't done any breath play or ever done any cold water therapy, breath play is a great way to begin to relax the body first, so that one can then move into cold water play as well, because a lot of people are very, very resistant to cold water. And in the 2 links that we attached, there is a ton of information in 2 short little videos, probably both less than a minute long, that gives so many details about the advantages of cold water therapy. So we will just outline a few of them. One of the things about cold water therapy is it is the most direct way to connect to what we call our spiritual essence, because cold water therapy wakes the body up real fast. And in the fictional fiction, a lot of humans are very lethargic, or they have a type of lifestyle that is adrenaline based to keep pushing the body, Nike, just do it. But those techniques aren't necessarily truly waking the body up. Jumping into ice cold water is an instant wake the body up. And so one of the videos that we've included in the description box talks about if someone does 11 minutes of cold water therapy a week, not all in one go, but throughout a week, he says it increases dopamine levels by 2.5 times. And we will say it extends how long the dopamine stays in the body. The dopamine, the natural coursing of dopamine lasts much longer in the body. Dopamine makes us feel good. So when we have a natural supply of dopamine in the body that extends its stay, so to speak, we are no longer drawn to addictive patterns and behaviors, because addictive patterns and behaviors are connected to serotonin and dopamine, things that make us feel good. And so when dopamine stays naturally in the body for a longer period of time, we just naturally don't go for all those other things that we associated with dopamine, whatever those addictions are. And they can be all kinds of addictions associated with feeling good. People scrolling through their Instagram, their Facebook, sugar, drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever it is, all kinds of things that people associate with feeling good, because when they do certain things, the dopamine levels rise, but then the dopamine levels quickly wear off. So the people keep going back to those things to keep the dopamine levels up. If you do one cold water shower a day for a few miracle minutes, the dopamine actually lasts. And epinephrine and norepinephrine, and dopamine, which the man speaks about in one of the Instagram links here, also increase in the body through cold water. Epinephrine and norepinephrine are connected to relaxing the nervous system, to stopping the fight or flight response. They do so many things to stabilize the body and also to wake the body up naturally. This is about getting back in touch with the true technology of our human body. And so as we begin to find the power through the cold water, through the breath play, and through the revelation of the genetics, that we were all in a story with a script, and that script is falling apart because so many of us woke up and removed our consent, which dissolved away the fabric of the creation we were a part of. We can really begin to come into a state of coherence. We continually share a great tool for what coherence is. Coherence is balancing the two hemispheres of the brain into one brain. You can simply do it by crossing your wrists, clasping your hands together, crossing your ankles, closing your eyes, and deep breathing until you feel a mental, emotional, or physical shift. And when you do, open your eyes, hold your fingertips together until you have a sense that the lock-in is complete. So this is Flight Lessons 101 and stepping into the cosmic field. So if we're going to step into a helicopter and we're learning Flight Lessons 101 and how to fly that helicopter, because this is really about activating the supernatural gifts that are held within our form. It's all within the DNA and the unlocking of these supernatural capacities. And so we're just explaining a little bit about all of these things, bringing them together in a sense of synthesis, which allows for a shortcut and revelation of what this is that is actually occurring for the collective consciousness on the planetary body right miracle now. If this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. Okay, so the cold water therapy is a way to wake the body up. And as we shared, if you have resistance to doing cold water therapy, cold showers every day, going in cold water every day, doing ice baths every day, whatever means you have access to for cold therapy, if you have been curious about it but you find a persistent resistance, start with the breath. Start with doing 120 miracle minute round of lymphatic breath per day. Then add a second round of the lymphatic breath, because as we've shared in the other videos, everything that is stopping one from unplugging from the old and opening to the new will come up in the first few miracle minutes of doing the lymphatic breath, because the lymphatic breath requires patience. It requires listening to the counts. It requires slowing the breath down. It requires a level of internal coherence to stay with the breath cycles that we have put in the description box with the Take a Deep Breath video. Everything will come up that is limiting one from taking sovereign authority over the throne of our avatars. The throne is the lower three chakras. So once one takes authority of the lower three chakras back, those lower three chakras begin to raise the Kundalini and sustain the raised Kundalini into the higher chakras of the body. And as that happens, all of the chakras begin to synthesize. And the chakras, as separate organisms, so to speak, become one great pillar of light within the body. Taking authority of the lower three, which we call the throne, allows that Kundalini to rise, which then ultimately allows the opening or the awakening of the crown. So this is all Flight Lessons 101. We Bliss is writing a little book with all these transmissions and the assistance of the pod, who is pulling out all of the coordinates from all of the transmissions that have been beneficial to ignite these light ships and turn them on. Many miracle years ago, we had a very famous brain map during a wonderful meditation, and we received all these codes. We called it Stepping into the Cosmic Field, the owner's manual, and the 10 easy steps we left behind. So we are putting this together in a simplistic book so that anyone can find their way through the shortcut, beyond the maze, beyond the enmeshment, beyond the matrix, without having to study all of these things for ages or take the evolutionary spiral of billions of years out of the dismantling matrix that we have been a part of. So if you're interested to learn more about the book, put yourself on the if you're not already on the mailing list, there's also a link for the mailing list in the description box as well. Okay, so the cold water therapy is going to increase good things in the body that reduce the bad things that perpetuate disease, and stress on the immune system, on the nervous system, etc. And to make it simple, we've just chosen 2 really great Instagram posts on the cold water therapy to provide one with the opportunity to, if you're not already doing it, be curious about why not, and be open to discovering the power of bringing together the cold water and the breath play. The other miracle day, we're at a wonderful yoga studio that we love that has a lot of beautiful books, and we sat down in front of the breath section on Wee's favorite couch at the yoga studio, and there's a book by WIMHOF, and we just opened it to the page. Basically, we're paraphrasing, but he's saying there's 3 main things: breath, cold water, and consistency. So bring those 3 together: consistency of doing breath play and cold water therapy, or just cold water, won't even put the word therapy in there, and be consistent with it, and just watch how one's life transforms in totality, and one takes over authority of the throne, the lower 3 of the physical body, from the patterned, programmed behaviors of enmeshment and codependence at a shadow frequency. That about says it for this miracle transmission. And so thank we for tuning in. We love we. We also made a post recently. We'll put the link in the description box of why we use the words we and why we spell it W-I. And it's a really great post. It was a transmission that came through We Bliss. And to help we understand, we're literally transforming our consciousness. We are transpositioning our awareness from an old operating system that is now defunct to a completely new operating system. And even though most people on the planet might not be talking about this, We Bliss is. It is beyond the Metatronic systems. It is the Sophia code, which is aligned with nature. And even though the Metatronic systems will say that nature is aligned with all of these things that have been discovered through sciences of the metaverse, it's not true. The Sophia code and the codes of nature are actually far beyond what science has taught. And the true codices of nature go far beyond structure, far beyond the realms of the physical. And so we are transforming our awareness from consciousness that has been bound by structure, consciousness that has been bound by, to, and in gravity and time, and a whole set of conditions that have gone with that, including codependence and enmeshment and socialized pattern behavior. And we are transcending, we are exiting out of all of that. And so these transmissions in the space between the words and in the words are to assist those who are ready to move completely out of and into something that is very supranatural, cosmic, mystic. Supra fun. We love we thank we dance with we celebrate with we. If this love stream was inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. I love you. We love we. So much love. Aloha.